good. All right. Okay, this song is the second song on our album. It's called Jesus of Suburbia. I was trying to raise your love. Jesus of Suburbia.
time I wanna apologize when there ain't nowhere you can go. Running away from pain when you've been victimized. Tales from unknown the broken.
Oh, thank you.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway. Up on the boulevard like it's a gun on parade. Lights out the silhouette, it's a butter net. Coming at you on the count of 1, 2. Seems like I'm better than you know what I'm talking about.
having trouble trying to sleep.
Jesus Christ!
As time ticks by, still I try. No rest for God stops in my mind. Go! Oh my God, here we go! My eyes feel like they're gonna bleed. I have been bulging on my skull. My mouth is dry, face you love. Fucked up and spun out in my room. On my own, here we go. Mind is set on overdrive. The clock is laughing in my face. Crickets spine, sensitive love. That's a final delirium. On my own, here we go. My eyes are like they're gonna bleed. I have been bulging on my skull. My mouth is dry, face you love. Fucked up and spun out of my
You listen to Greendale, BBC Radio 1.
And this song's from Kerplunk. What thought was in my It seems that I forgot. Was it just a dream that happened long ago? I think I just forgot. Or has it been the first time? When I try to drive me weird. It's gonna take me some boy who falls his world and now he's getting lazy. There's no motivation. try doing the Midwest medley? We're gonna do another cover. This song was done by a band called Cheap Trick, and then another band called The Replacements.
Like you. She also told me stay
Thanks a lot, you guys. We'll see you.
The Lockup on BBC Radio 1.
And here comes the lattes.
Starbucks.
Nice. One of those is a mocha, one's just a regular latte. That's an iced latte, that's an iced mocha latte. All right.
Nice one, man. Thank you.
Gum, what a smart guy.
Gum and coffee. What else do you need?
You ever had gum with coffee?
Nah. It's a good combination.
Good. It's so good. Dude, you got... Which one?
I used to have coffee and cigarettes, but you know,
you got it's bubblegum flavor is really the best. But like even the minty
Nicorette gum and coffee,
peppermint gum and coffee.
Yeah?
Oh, it's so good.
You're serious, aren't you?
Yeah, oh yeah.
I just want to figure it out.
Ball at the same time, man. It's just no. I'm serious. I love my gum with my coffee. It's kind of messed up, and then the gum gets all gooey.
Should we break for it? Do you want to?
You should go for it, man. But these are the ones.
Get in there. Show the people how it's done.
I'm gonna get some.
they were gonna be
some gum going.
snapping gum on the radio, man.
That's okay.
I love it.
Gum and coffee. That's
I'm
all right.
going deep though. See, I wouldn't try this.
You
at
go for the
home.
2 sticks?
I go for 2 because
Of the
you know,
fire.
2 sticks of fire and caffeine.
You get your chew on for a second first, Nip.
It's like dropping Skittles in the bottom of your Coke at the movie theater,
Oh man.
right? That's pretty ill too.
You know they say if you're gonna do something wrong, do it right.
I used to like the
I
red
agree.
vines as a straw.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
right.
And then eating the red vine at the, yeah, it's a beautiful
I used to have for a
thing.
tracheotomy emergency procedure one time. It was great.
What, with a
Yeah.
red vine?
You know what the great thing is? You can get sugar-free gum. You don't need to put sugar in your coffee. Because every
I
sip
was just
tastes
thinking
sugar.
about that, yeah.
I don't know if that's already pre-sweetened, but
Mine's
I don't
not
put sugar in my
pre-sweetened.
coffee anyway. I figure it's coffee, not candy.
Yeah, but
The
that's
gum
why you go
does
with
help.
the gum. Is every cup of coffee followed by a stick of gum or eaten with a stick?
Usually followed by a stick of gum because, you know,
To
then you
freshen
have
the breath.
breath like ass.
Yeah. All right, so everybody's left the room, and I'm sitting here with Billy Joe. Billy Joe, how did you get into punk rock in the first place, and what does it mean to you?
My first memory of anything that was punk rock was I remember walking to my friend's house, and I went into the house, and these 2 girls, his sister and her best friend, were on the floor listening to Dead Kennedy's Nazi Punk Suck Off, and they were trying to keep up with the lyrics and singing. They were kind of laughing at the same time, and so that was like my first memory. But I don't know, I just certain memories here and there of just you know, seeing like Rock and Roll High School and you know, going to Gilman Street for the first time. And just, I don't know, you know, heavy metal was just getting old for me. I just didn't really, it just turned into all this like showmanship and glammy and all that. And I just wanted something that was more raw, and punk rock seemed to fill that void.
And you were in a great place for that, because living in the Bay Area when all this stuff was kicking off, it must have been great times.
Yeah, it was, you know, it was great. You know, when Gilman Street sort of started, it was, and when I started going there, most of the heroes were sort of gone. You know, like at that point, the Dead Kennedys were over, the Avengers were over, for a long time. You know, and there was a lot of like heavy metal, but there was a lot of bands from the suburbs that were going to play this place in Berkeley. So, and I don't know, and I was glued to it. I was there every single weekend.
Do you feel now that you are sort of like an ambassador for punk rock, and there's a good vibe towards you in San Francisco? Because it really is that sort of place where if you become too big, the scene might turn on you, and it doesn't seem like that's happened to you up there.
No, I mean there was certain tension here and there, but you know, in the broad scheme of things, I mean we were definitely. No, people seem to be. You know, I'm an East Bay kid. You know, you know, we are. You know, if you know, we take on the phrases just like you know in speech and you know, in look and you know and working class, and so we've always been we've always been East Bay guys. So you know, so we've and you know, so the Bay Area is a place that we represent for sure.
And you sold millions and millions of records, but your lifestyle hasn't really changed, has it?
No, not really. I mean, I still try to hunt for a clean pair of socks in the morning,
Right,
you know.
yeah.
So, you know, I mean, definitely things have changed, you know. It's like we've you know, become you know, financially successful. So, and you know, which is just, you know, it did the thing that we always wanted to do. We wanted to play music for the rest of our lives. And that's why, you know, when we you know, that's what we wanted out of Dookie and you know, for the rest of our careers, and that's what we're doing.
And you had a career before you signed to a major and made it big in '94, and it was kind of like the third wave of punk, and it was you and Offspring and Rancid, and it changed the game, and it opened the doors for a lot of punk rock or rock and roll bands, and it got kids interested in guitar music again, which is a great thing. But you did sign to a major, and it's worked out well for you. But there's loads of these young bands today that aren't putting the work, they're not doing the tours, they're not releasing the records, they're signing straight to a major, and they're getting screwed over. What kind of advice would you give to them?
Well, they just, it's difficult because, I mean, we did have a history before. I mean, and I think if we would have made a big mistake if like our first album, 39 Smooth, would have come out on a major label. But at that time, punk rock on a major label really wasn't an option because so many bands ended up getting around. But and I think that's an advantage that we have over a lot of bands that are getting put out now and getting played on MTV and played on the radio. But those bands need time to develop also. Yeah. It's like you can't really, it's like they're young bands, you can't, you hear one song by them, you can't base your opinion on one song. They need to grow too, they need to have experience, they need to sort of hear the old records and do all that because I don't know, it's like that's how I feel about it anyway.
What's left for you to accomplish? Have you done everything that you want to do and you're just still having fun?
I don't really look at like my career, my life as an accomplishment, but as just as a journey, So I just want to, keep playing and playing as passionately as I can, really. So, that's the only way I really see myself, and then, it's like, I guess I'll just wait until I'm in my coffin to have an opinion about it at that point, All
right, Billy Joe's just left. Mike's come in. Mike, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
Okay.
I'm a happy boy.
We talked about the album, but now it's time to talk about you. How did you get into punk rock? How did it all start for you?
It had something to do with my skateboard when I was a kid. And the fact that, I don't know what happened. I think playing guitar, everybody wanted to be as guitar gods or whatever when we were kids. And just when I heard punk rock music, like Dead Kennedys or Cramps or Circle Jerks or any of that stuff, there was a lot of kind of like late 70s, early 80s American punk rock bands, obviously Brit punk bands too.
Yeah.
It just seemed natural. It's like, wow, I can play these tunes totally easily. I don't have to be some shredder on guitar. And I just naturally veered away from that, from heavy metal. And it's funny because one of my best friends, I mean, he's dead now, but he continued to be into heavy metal and all that stuff for years, and it was just kind of cracked me up how we naturally went different ways musically.
And it was a great time for music too when you're growing up. All those seminal bands were around. Who were some of the bands that really influenced you?
I'd say one of them was Crimpshrine. It was a band that was on Lookout Records.
Jeff Ott, he's still going with 15. Is he still doing 15?
Yeah, but that kind of sucks. I love Jeff Ott, but I'm a big Crimpshrine fan.
Right.
That's really what I was into back in the day. The first couple 15 records were all right. So, and I think it was just more like the scene in general. I mean, obviously the Dead Kennedys were amazing, the Ramones, who wasn't inspired by the Sex Pistols and the Clash and everything else. But I really think it was just more the energy of seeing another freak across the street and going, wow, I bet we'd be friends.
Right.
We don't necessarily have that anymore nowadays. I think the doors are blown wide open for that. Your next door neighbor who's on the football team probably has green hair or whatever.
And a spiked belt and a skateboard also.
Exactly. You can't tell who's who nowadays, but it's kind of nice because, then you won't get beat up for, exploring your sexuality or being somewhat of, exploring your individuality in any sort of way. Things like that in high schools.
Was it a battle back then?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times I used to almost get my ass kicked for being what they would call freaks. I mean, people will pull over in their cars and say, get out of their vehicle and go, freak, we're going to kick your ass, and we'd have to take off running, so.
But do you ever sit back and think that you have a lot to do with today and the way they look at society, and it's bands like you and The Offspring and Rancid who open those doors? And
see, I like to think that Kurt Cobain died for our sins on that one. Okay.
Let him
I ain't taking the heat on that one. I will say this much. I mean, yeah, we probably did. Lord knows we played a lot of shows. A lot more shows than a lot of bands out there. A lot more than those other bands too. It's like we just kept touring, and I think we're in a good place right now. I mean, I don't, there's, it's yin and yang. There's good with it, and there's bad with it, and you just got to choose to find the good with it. Otherwise, you just stay on a negative roll.
Any regrets? I know that you guys did it the right way. You released stuff before you signed to a major. You toured like crazy. You got yourself a fan base. A lot of these bands today are just signing to major straight away. Is that the wrong way of doing things?
Well, I don't know because I haven't done it.
Right.
I kind of believe that a band needs to formulate an identity. I don't think that it's impossible to do on a major label. I just think that the only way you can truly judge a band is at the end of their career, Then you can see the whole body of work and decide for yourself what it was worth. But I think either way, whether you're on a major or an independent or even just playing in your garage, you need to establish a musical identity. And once you do that, you'll have a future.
All right. So last but not least, we have Trey in here, and no pointy shoes, no turban. What happened, Trey?
Oh man, I actually have this nice chic outfit, but I lost it somehow, and the rest of the clothes that I was wearing that night. But I was gonna wear that for you, but
There's been talk of a red suit too.
yeah, I actually got made fun of, like, why are you dressing up for radio?
Right.
So, and then I thought about it, and I said, because I want to look cool.
Right.
At
all times.
Right, even when doing radio.
So how did you personally get into punk rock? How did it all start for you? What does it mean to you?
Well, when I was 11 years old, I joined up with this guy, Lawrence Livermore, and this guy, Kane Kong. And we started this band called the Lookouts, and then Lookout Records formed out of that and put out bands like Operation Ivy and Green Day was one of the bands that came on Lookout Records.
Were you involved with the label?
I was in the Lookouts, which was the first
Was it the first
band on the label, and our singer owned the label.
Okay, cool.
And he was like a lot older than us. I was 11, and Kane was like 16, and he was like 36 or something.
Right.
But so we were rocking out, singing all these songs and doing that. He was putting out a bunch of records, and then came across Billy and Mike and Green Day, and I was like, wow, those guys are really got it together. They really have a special thing, And I was really like
they had a different drummer?
Yeah, with John Kiffmeyer, a.k.a. El Sobrante. He was a friend of mine, and I called him up like right when I moved down to where their area, the Bay Area, from Northern California. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to college. You want to fill in for my band while I'm gone?" I'm like, "Sure, no problem." So that sort of worked out.
And what kind of stuff were you listening to back then?
Geez, I don't remember. I remember I threw up in all my tapes. I got drunk in the back of my van and just kind of slept with my head in the tape. Then I puked over all my tapes, and so then I guess I was sort of screwed there. But like a lot of 7 Seconds and Minor Threat and MDC, Dead Kennedys and Operation Ivy and all the Lookout bands and stuff like that. Capital Punishment. But I didn't really get into the English hardcore bands until a lot later, like until I'd been to Europe. When I was 19, went there with Green Day, and we did 64 shows in 3 months on other people's equipment.
Yeah, and playing tiny little pubs and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was in a lot of squatted houses and really punk rock places like the Hofenstrasse in Hamburg, which is a really good experience with bands like So Much Hate and Life But How to Live It and 2000 DS and all these bands back then. That was fun.
So are you a happy man after doing this for so long? Have you achieved what you set out to achieve, or is this beyond your wildest beliefs, wildest dreams?
Well, I always known this was going to be just like this, I always knew that.
Yeah, from day one.
Yeah,
when you were 11.
From when I was 11, I used to walk around my school telling kids that I was going to be in, big rock and roll band and be on TV, and they were going to...
Honestly?
Yeah, it was like a little ish talking, but it kind of came true, so...
Yeah.
Here we are on the BBC.
And it's been a good ride?
It's awesome, and I'm really excited right now because we're about to go on tour. We've got dates in the States and Japan and UK, Ireland, right now that's on the menu.
What's your advice to young bands who are just starting out?
Just play anything that comes your way. Don't take your day job too seriously. Be able to drop that. Don't believe the things they tell you that if you quit your job, you won't be able to get another one. I mean, it is really hard to get a job, but it's even harder to get a group of guys together, or girls, or musicians that click as a band. And if you guys have it, something that you know it's special, just keep going after it, and just keep sharing it with everybody, and make the stickers, spend a certain percentage of your personal wealth on your own band, and you'll probably do all right.
What about setting up the foundations, releasing a few albums, doing the tours, getting the fan base like you guys did before you signed to a major, like a lot of these new bands are doing?
And don't worry too much about your equipment. I mean, try and get good sounding equipment, but just play really well and have a thing. You got to have a vibe, for a band. Because I've seen a lot of bands with great equipment, and they're struggling to pay for the equipment, and the guys have to work at the Guitar Center to pay off the oversized bass amp for the clubs for their size that they're playing. So you want to kind of keep your head on straight and just sort of, but have a good time.
That's the most important thing, isn't it?
Have fun. It's no fun to if you're not having fun with the guys or the girls you're with, just make adjustments.
Yeah. So here it is. It is a lockup on Radio 1. I'm Mike Davis, and we are sitting at the SIR studio. I have Mike, Billy Joe, and Trey sat with me. How's it going, guys? Everybody in real close.
Hello.
Very well, thank you.
Hi.
So what is going on at the SIR studio? Is this just a rehearsal space?
We're bashing out the new record and practicing up and getting ready for our big summer of fun.
Okay. And the record is complete now?
Pretty much, we're just in the mixing process right now. So
All the recording's done. We're just we're mixing the record and practicing every day, and kind of getting ready to hit the road.
Why'd you guys choose LA? Who lives in LA? Anybody?
none of us do.
None of us.
We're sort of caught in a position where we have to get ready to play some shows and mix at the same time, and we're mixing with this guy, Chris Lord Algae, who actually he mixed Nimrod too. So we really like the way he does his job, and so we're just kind of going back and forth between mixing, doing interviews, and having band practice.
It's still early days though, so you're not too sick of doing the interviews yet.
No, it's in the early process, so you're in luck. So
We'll get there.
We don't have a pair of scissors to your neck yet. So.
Not yet.
Yeah.
The day is young. All right, so the new album, everybody's talking about it. It's got a real buzz to it. Like I was saying last night, I was at a few gigs talking to kids, and everybody's really excited. It's being described as a punk rock opera. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, loosely I would say that, but that if we're gonna choose a word for it, that would be the one. So there's a storyline through it. There's a couple of different characters, but it's loose enough to where it's everything. You can listen to it like individual tracks. It's not all of a sudden Trey's gonna be going Galileo or anything like that. It's gonna be it's just like kind of a big lush record, and still sort of maintaining the energy of early Green Day stuff, really.
So when did you start writing this album, and when did it turn into what it? Obviously, nobody who is listening right now will have heard this yet. The album. Describe what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, there's like a couple of 9-minute tracks that are on there, but with the way they're written is sort of, it's not like all of a sudden we're turning into Fish and there's going to be a big blues jam or something like that. It's more like. You can listen to it the same way you would listen to something like Nimrod or
It's got like 5 songs in the 9-minute song.
Yeah, it's broken up into sort of these parts, and it's really short attention span theater, and then mixed in with some other songs that are like 3-minute songs.
Right. How are you going to perform it live? Is it going to be just 2 hours straight and then old stuff?
I think the way the record's set up, and we can pull songs from the record, because like I said, you can listen to individual songs throughout it too and not feel like you're in the middle of something also. And so it's got that personal aspect to it. So we can basically pull songs from it and integrate those into our regular set, or we'd like to get certain venues together where we can actually play it front to back.
Right.
And then maybe come out and pulverize with some of the hits or whatever.
I mean, we'll play some maybe some smaller theater type gigs where we're just playing the new stuff front to back, and then but when we go out on tour to do we're playing Reading and stuff, we're gonna definitely be playing the old stuff too.
The very sought after headline spot on the Sunday at Reading. That's cool, man. You guys must be excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we played, we were playing second to last before Travis, and then we played second to last with the Smashing Pumpkins, and I think that was in '95. So yeah, now we're just last of the bill, so maybe we'll just play until 6 in the morning so everybody can miss the train. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
They run out of electricity.
we're gonna play your single right now. So you just want to tell me about what's the title track, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the title track of our record, and this is our little bitty statement, and it's called American Idiot.
Just in terms of the quickly making of this record, was that something that was a concept in your head before you recorded it, or did it just develop over time as you were making it with Rob?
Everything just kind of came together at the same time, and we spent hours or days and months of demos, just keeping ourselves in the studio, just experimenting with different arrangements. And so, I mean, it was all coming together and talking about the stories. I mean, it was like having chalk talk, sitting there, like writing down like where the story's gonna go, and it's like total stitch and bitch.
You must be feeling though the anticipation for this album. I mean, obviously you've got an incredibly loyal and big fan base around the world, but I've felt it off the back of American Idiot, the title track as a single, that there's an enormous amount of excitement around this record in particular. Are you feeling that as well?
Yeah, I mean, considering it's probably the biggest first week we've ever had in our career, and it just feels.
How many units? How many units did you ship?
I don't know. All I know is that the word one keeps on coming up. So so it's just great, and it's like it's a lot sweeter the older that you get too. Like it's been 10 years since Dookie, and to still feel like you're putting something out there that people are really into is great.
Radio 1, number one band.
That's right.
It kind of works.
From 100,000 people across Reading and Leeds to 100 people tonight, it's like 1/1000th of the audience that you played to last time you were here.
It should be great, it's intimate, and we like all shows. We're not particular about any one or two or whatever. It's just good to just get out and play. Especially after doing interviews, a ton of interviews. Like, well, I'm much better at just playing than I am at talking.
Yeah. Quit talking, start playing.
I was just sitting out in front of the instruments. I was like, man, I miss these instruments. I miss like playing music. I haven't done it for 4 whole days.
But you've only done a couple of shows. You haven't done it. Obviously, you haven't started like a major international touring routine yet. You did the whole album in full in Los Angeles recently, and how did that feel for you guys?
That was a trip. That was incredible.
It was amazing because the record wasn't out yet, and we weren't sure how people were going to respond to it. But amazingly, somehow people managed to know most of the lyrics. And then,
wow, gee, I wonder how that happened.
And then the reception was so amazing. It really kind of it befuddled what we're going to do for our next tour in the set list. We're like, because we just thought, okay, well, we can play some of these, and then we can play all the hits or blah blah, and now we're just screwed.
Well, no, I think about the touring you've got to do now. Like you said, you've done the album in full, you've seen the reaction, but you've also got, God, how many albums worth of songs that you could play if you want to? Are you starting to think about how do you try and keep it spontaneous, or do you sort of try and have a set in place before you go on?
I think we play as much as we can before we pass out, basically.
Which would have been pretty good going considering the Reading show when you had to tag on another half an hour after 50 got bottled off the stage.
And the Rasmus also. They
lost a song in a bar, I think, is what they lost.
Just to keep it interesting and to confuse ourselves even more, we managed to throw in like 30 cover tunes now that we pull from all the time. And so, it was kind of like we wanted to just play from like the 45s that we would spin at home or something like that. And so now we're really, really screwed because we have no idea. I mean, we could be up there playing. We could play a punk rock Springsteen set at this point, which is really fun. I mean, we love being on stage all night long, but it takes its toll on you.
Mike, we were just talking just a second ago about, the way that England reacts to your music and the fact that, like you say, after sort of so many years of making records, it's still to this point, you're actually getting crowds who are as, if not more excited than ever before, which must be a great feeling considering how many bands try.
England's just such a rock and roll based place too. It's just, people get it. You guys started it.
I think if we could choose to be like big, if we had to only be big in one place, it'd probably be here because that's where it all got set off, all the great rock that we left.
All right, so here we go. I'm going to leave you right now. Bobby Friction and Nihal coming up. I believe just Nihal flying.